For the better part of the last 4 years, Dominic Thiem has been seen as the heir to the throne to the big three, especially on clay. The Prince of Clay has now come out and become an amazing hardcourt player, obviously by getting to the final of the Australian Open, losing to the best Australian Open player ever. But is Dominic Thiem's time running out now? He's been to 3 major finals and hasn't been able to get over the hump. In this video, we're going to talk about what he's done in the past, what he's changed to become a great all-court player, and if he has enough time now to still make an impact on the game of tennis.
Welcome to the slice.
Welcome to the slice.
Welcome to the slice.
Well, is Thiem's time up? That's the question on this episode. And many of you might be thinking that's a ridiculous thing to ask since he just made the Australian Open finals and has been playing amazingly lately. So I get you there. But I'm asking the question now because he's been on the come up for so long. And a lot of people have criticized him saying that he'll never win a major. He'll never get over the hump. Or if he wins a major, it'll just be one French Open or something like that when Rafa retires. But I'm going to take a more detailed look into what he's doing to make himself a better player. And if he does have enough time to do some serious damage to the record books of tennis. So if we're meeting, this is the slice. We take you closer than anyone else to professional tennis. And stay tuned to the end of the video for you to see how you can get involved in our trip to Delray Beach next week and other things like that here on the slice. So Dominic Thiem came out kind of on the tour on 2015, 2016 as a clay court phenom, winning 3 tournaments that year. And then for those couple of years, he was just known as a clay specialist, winning some matches after that against Rafa Nadal, eventually beating every member of the big three and looking like, to me, the best player outside of the big three. 2015, 2016, basically just a clay court player. In 2017 and 18, he struggled to transition his game from the clay court to the hard court, the faster courts, because he had such power on the clay court. The slow court obviously allowed him to play with those big strokes, and he was comfortable in that. When the court sped up, he seemed rushed, and he couldn't stay consistent at all for even an entire match, let alone different tournaments back to back to back. But at the beginning of 2019, we started to see that change because we all know he had all the strokes, and he had the movement, and he had the pieces to be an amazing player and Grand Slam winner, as he's made at least the semifinals of the French Open the last 4 years. But in 2019, we saw something different from him. We saw right before Indian Wells, coach Nicolas Massu joined Dominic Thiem's camp, and that started to change some things because coincidentally, right at that Indian Wells tournament, Thiem ended up winning his first Masters 1000 and his first serious tournament on a hard court facing Roger Federer, obviously an amazing player on hard courts in the final. This was kind of like a coming to age tournament for Dominic Thiem. He seemed to change something, and I think the main thing that Nicolas Massu helped him do was be more aggressive, stay a bit closer to the baseline, and use his power to dictate on a hard court, which is obviously easier said than done, especially for a clay court specialist, as Thiem was growing up doing. So Thiem started to be more aggressive, stay closer to the baseline, and believe that he could win these matches. Now, people criticized him in the past for his lack of consistency, and for example, after the Indian Wells win, he went on into Miami and lost in the second round there to Hubert Hurkacz. I was at that match, and I was able to talk to him after, and I asked him, were you tired from the win in Indian Wells? And he said something that was interesting to me. He said, no, I wasn't too tired. I had a couple of days to rest. That's enough time, but I just lost. So he didn't blame his tiredness. He was professional in that. The biggest difference between the young guys and the big three is consistency. Federer lost in the final of Indian Wells to Thiem and then went on to win Miami. Can back up a good performance with another one. The younger players have struggled to do that. But Dominic Thiem, I think, has elevated himself in the category of young players to show that he is putting in the work with his body. He's putting in his work, tweaking his game to get to the next level. And through 2019, we got to see him do better. He won 5 titles, 3 of them on hard court, showing that he has officially made it on hard court. And this was beyond question after the 2019 ATP finals, where he lost to Matteo Berrettini in the first round. Scratch that. But then he went on to beat Federer and Djokovic in successive session, playing amazing, blasting them off the court, playing on a fast London hard court, which showed he was really there. And then I was like, at the beginning of 2020, I was like, this is his year. And what does he do? He marches through the Australian Open, beating Nadal in the quarterfinals, beating Zverev in the semifinals, and then coming up against Novak Djokovic, the ultimate test on hard court, especially the Australian Open in the final, getting a big lead and then losing it because Djokovic found his physicality, came back and did what Djokovic does best, win matches at the final, in the final of the Grand Slam, especially the Australian Open. But Thiem still put up the best fight he could have put up without winning the match. He was this close. So in all that, is he getting frustrated? He's made 3 major finals now and hasn't got over the hump. Is he running out of time? Well, I don't think he is at all, because he's turning 27 this year, which the big 3 have shown that the age of your prime years as a tennis player is getting longer and longer because of health science, fitness, whatever. Thiem has obviously bought into that with the way that he takes care of his body. So obviously Thiem still has time to do what though? To be like the big 3, to win 15, 17, 20 Grand Slams? No, probably not. That should not be the level that we measure people up to, because the big 3 are in a whole universe of their own in tennis. That includes Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, if you are wondering. But Dominic Thiem still has obvious time to make his mark on the history books. He can still win multiple Grand Slams. I think he could be a number 1 rated player in 2020, this year, and definitely beyond that. So he still does have time. With the way he takes care of his body and he's professional about his work ethic, he totally has time. And with a coach like Nicolas Massou, who's helped him be more aggressive and an all-court player, he's definitely got time. So I'm on Team Thiem because I respect the way he works. He's fun to watch, especially now when he hits that big inside-out forehand run around and someone's going to slice on the opposite side. He's coming in after that and volleying. He's got the full court game now, and it's amazing to watch. It was frustrating to watch for a while when he would just try and bring over clay onto hard court and it wouldn't work, but it's amazing to watch now. So if you were wondering, which you might not have been, Thiem still does have time to make it and do amazing things in the tennis history books. And I think the next couple of years are going to be he's going to be an absolute nightmare to play on all surfaces. So that's that. That's my judgment on what Thiem's going to be doing. I think he's going to have a great 2020 year. So that's that. We are headed to Delray Beach at the end of this week to give you the slice from the grounds there. So stay tuned to the YouTube channel and our Instagram for all the updates. Thanks, guys.